Hi guys, welcome back, welcome aboard, welcome home. Completely dependent on where you are in your journey with this channel, this energy, and this message. Today I would like to talk about Uranus moving retrograde. Uranus moves retrograde on the 19th of August 2021 and will stay retrograde until turning direct on the 18th of January 2022. So let's just have this conversation right now. Even though we can say that Uranus will move back from 14 degrees of Taurus to 10 degrees of Taurus, we also know that retrograde movement is not real. It's just a perspective change from our geocentric place here on Earth. Planets do appear to stop in space, move backwards in the sky. They never really actually do that. It is just from our perspective, which, as we know, of course, is everything. So let's say heads up to anyone with planets in 13 to 15 degrees of the fixed signs for the beginning, and then moving all the way back to anywhere from 9 to 11 degrees of the fixed signs through the end of this retrograde movement. The fixed signs, of course, are Taurus and Leo and Scorpio and Aquarius. So you will be feeling those in a challenging and opportunity creating sort of way. Anyone with earth sign placements, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, anywhere from those degrees in the beginning, will be feeling this as an easement, a flow, right? Perhaps a gift. So let's talk about Uranus, right? Uranus is the planet of freedom, basically, freedom of expression. We know that Uranus is Mercury's big brother, the higher octave of Mercury. Mercury is all about communication, direct communication, right? I speak to you, I type words, I read, I write, even interpretive dance. These are all mercurial. Uranus is about higher octaves of communication, right? Like the internet, airwaves, radio signals, satellite communications, things like that. But both of them, of course, have to do with the truth. Uranus in particular deals with things like innovation and inventions in the future. Uranus is all about that process of the breakthrough that's preceded by the breakdown, right? That breakthrough is very Uranian. Inspiration, that aha moment, right? That moment of eureka, right? Uranian energy is rebellious. It's kind of the loner, right? The outsider, anything on the fringes, right? That kind of revolutionary, guerrilla tactic kind of, in spirit, by the way, energy. It's about experimentation. It's about eccentricity. It's about being quirky, sometimes even deviant. It's about being detached. Uranus energy loves change, right? So it's that concept of out of the old comes the new. So always, always, always in that process, in that shift, it can feel chaotic, right? But it can also be about genius level changing. It can be a little impatient, right? We're talking about science, technology, also like seismic level tectonic plate shifting. And it also has an overarching viewpoint that deals with humanity, right? Of course. Because, you know, you can't deal with all of those big topics without dealing with the collective as well. Uranus rules Aquarius, And so that is, of course, a beautiful link in with universal mind, with the hive consciousness, right? So that's really important. So at its best, right, change can feel inventive and reforming and like an overhaul. It can feel unconventional and like an upgrade, an adaptation. At its worst, right, change can feel dangerous and reckless and chaotic and super detached and rebellious, like a revolution, and almost antisocial. The key, the distance between those two, is bridged by the fact that Uranus is about higher communication. There is a resonance, right, with Uranian energy, you know, like that telepathic, hey, I see you kind of thing, always looking for truth. The key to this whole retrograde season right now, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we talk about the new moon that's coming up at the very beginning of September. It's a big new moon, guys, but the key here is that we are in the thick of retrograde season, right? We have all of our social and transpersonal planets retrograding now. So Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, everybody is in retrograde, including Chiron, right? So this is about being driven inward, not just invited inward, because here's the thing, all of our personal planets are direct. So Mercury, Venus, you know, everything that has to do with our consciousness is in direct motion. And these big movers, our unconscious drives, our subconscious, is all in retrograde. So this is about really being driven inward and asked to witness things in a very pure state. Like, what is projection? Where are the mirrors, right? So we don't really have a choice. We are asked to change on our deepest level, which is our internal level. And here's the thing. Uranus is in Taurus right now. So all of those things we just talked about innovation and change, right, we've got that big Saturn-Uranus square going on this entire year. And the third perfection of that square is at the end of this year, right before Uranus will go direct. So the thing is, as we're really dealing with the balance of this fixed square, right, that is Saturn and Uranus, we're also dealing with these two energies, right, that are Uranus in Taurus, hello, and Saturn in Aquarius. And so they're just at odds. You know, Taurus is nothing if not stable and predictable and habitual and about the status quo, right? It's about systems and function and groundedness and predictability. And endurance. It wants to root deeply. It wants to plant seeds and wait, right? That's what this fixed sign energy is. It's about that period between the beginning and the ending, where there's depth and breadth. And so both of these energies are literally grappling, right? And so when we talked about the beginning of this square, we talked about how there's a specific kind of dynamic tension available through these two planets. And specifically now, we're being asked to step into the way that we can shift our internal state of consciousness as it relates to the collective, to the universal mind. How can you break down your idea of status quo? How can you reevaluate your own values? How can you dismantle your idea of habit, stability, predictability? How can you inject how can you be comfortable with your foundation being rocked, right? Or can you? How do you sit with the idea that out of the old comes the new? How hard are you going to hold on and be in resistance? You know, all year long we've talked about reevaluating our values. Now comes the time, right? Now comes the time to really get clear on what is it that you're fighting for? What are you reforming? What are you overhauling? And are you doing it in a chaotic and reckless way? Or are you doing it in a way that's going to allow for the shift and change to become permanent for everyone? Because if you're not including everyone, then you're not really doing this work. And the only way to really do the work is to examine your own projections of what that means. On the 27th of September, which happens to be my birthday, Mercury will go retrograde. And then we'll have basically everyone except for Mars and Venus and the Sun and the Moon in direct motion. And then they begin to kind of fall out, right? Pluto goes direct in the beginning of October. And so we'll be asked to move into action. But right now is a time when you should look to accept the invitation that the universe is handing you right now to, I got you, to really be clear. Really be clear on what it is that you are communicating to the universe, right? Are you a rebel without a cause? Wow, I have the wrong deck completely. Fascinating. Okay, that's interesting, isn't it? I guess that's not the oracle I wanted, but we did see that Queen of Cups. We'll keep her in mind. All right. Anyway. Good thing nothing's too far away, huh? Anyway, how are you going to use your inner genius? How are you going to become your own inner rebel without becoming chaotic, without embodying chaos, right? Chaos is external to flow, and flow is internal, and it creates from chaos, right? So how can you connect? How can you communicate from that highest level so that you're in service? Not just to your own transformation, not just to your own breakthrough, but to the breakthrough that is of higher service, to the breakthrough that creates stability, that creates sustainable systems, that creates deeply rooted, new, reformed habits, right? That really allows us to be resourced both individually and collectively on that highest and deepest way, which is what Uranus requires, right? Freedom, ultimate sovereignty, ultimate truth. And that's really all that Uranus is looking for, right? Ever changing, ever shifting, ever evolving. All right, well, we're just going to give that up, perhaps. We don't need another oracle. So let's talk. So we've got Temperance and the Three of Cups, right? Temperance, beautiful card. This is about combining, right? This is how we break through. This is how we rebuild after the breakthrough. And the Three of Cups is about celebrating. This is about emotional balance. This is all about water, all about feelings, all about how you feel about what you're doing. And the thing is, it's okay to be a rebel, but you have to love your cause. You have to have an emotional basis for your cause. Your heart has to be in it, or you're just beating drums. And that's not affecting change, right? That's not your inner compass, which is what drives all of this energy. It has to be heart-based. Even though it's science, it has to be heart-based because it's about truth, and it's about freedom, and it's about community, and it's about genius. And genius has to be about service. We've got the Seven of Swords and strength. The Seven of Swords is about deception. The strength, of course, is faith. The Seven of Swords, any kind of deception, any kind of deviousness, recklessness, right? This is about not being in service to truth. And what happens when you're in service to truth is that you have to be in service to faith as well, because they go hand in hand. You know, we think that service and faith are two sides of a coin. They're not. They're identical, right? Service and faith, truth and faith. They can't exist in the same energy as this deception. And quite often, the Seven of Swords is about self-deception, really, because, I mean, isn't all deception just self-deception, right? We don't want to see something. We don't want to look at something. We just look away from it. Well, Uranus is going to break down all those places where you're standing with bullshit in your hands. And you're only going to be able to walk through it with faith, right? Reform, adapt, invent, right? This is highest level business. This is not. So how are you going to dive in? How are you going to cut away your self-deception and be able to tame your own inner beasts? Well, I suggest that way is through the feels, as always, right? We've got the Six of Wands. This is victory, and the Six of Pentacles. Now, this is a beautiful pairing, honestly, for this Uranus retrograde, talking about retrograde season. Six of Wands is victory. Six of Pentacles is resourcedness, right? We're talking about Taurus energy, balance, right? How can I make sure that everyone is taken care of, right? This is a sustainability. This is a generosity kind of energy. And the Six of Wands is about victory. So this can be as sudden as you'd like. So allow your ideas about what that looks like or what it means to be of service to the collective to shift and change. And it might shift and change in a sudden way, right? There's no prescription on it. Reform happens when reform happens. So be willing to recognize where you are your own chaos, where you are your own recklessness, where you're supporting ideas that might be deceptive, right? For yourself, for the collective, for anything. Are you in service to your own idea of scarcity, of lack, of anything that's not going to allow you to be sharing, right? Giving of yourself, giving of your resources so that everyone's needs are met, right? That's the real victory. That's the real victory. We've also got the Ace of Swords and the Four of Pentacles, which follows perfectly right here. Ace of Swords is about new ideas, right? This is about new ideas coming in. Four of Pentacles is about that hoarding, that I've got mine, too bad for you, right? But this suggests that the way around that is to make sure that everybody has enough. And that's exactly what success looks like. This is what reform looks like, right? And this is what recklessness looks like, that antisocial, dangerous behavior. So perhaps allow those new ideas to come in, right? I mean, and then, I mean, it's so beautiful. So we've got the wheel, right? Time, motion, forward. Everything always moves, right? We're never stagnant. We're never in process. And sometimes it feels chaotic and sometimes it feels like forever. But if you allow yourself to be inspired by your heart, by love, by what you witness as caretaking for all, right? Not just for me, right? I'm going to give you a novel idea here. It's not just about you. It's about everybody. That's how victory happens, right? We are in service to the collective. Uranus retrograde, internal, do your work, right? Heart-based, that's always heart-based work. And so we've got naked heart living, which is, of course, to create from your feels, to allow your feelings to be the driver. There we go. Of your actions, no matter how crazy that might be. All right, so we have got message in a bottle. Okay. Very cute. That sweet little pelican. I like him. Number 15. All right. Communication, a sign pointing the way to your highest good, a Cleton, which is an ancient name for a spontaneous oracle delivered innocently by the speaker. Well, if that's not Uranian energy, I don't know what is. Spirit sends you signs when you ask for them, when you believe you will receive them, and when you allow yourself to become fluent in the language of symbols, oracles, and omens. They may come to you as a bird flying by, a logo on a truck, a song on the radio. Expect confirmation that you're pointed in the right direction. Keep your ears open, for someone might say just the right thing that will give you the answer to your query. Today your message is this: Spirit hears you, and the reply is favorable. So we're talking about highest level communication, right? This is what that Uranian energy is. It's about freedom, but not just freedom for you, right? It's never just about you. Uranus is ruled by Aquarius, which is the sign of the collective, which means you're going to get messages from everybody. And if your heart is open, if you're in this space of being willing to combine and recognize and witness, right, all of that truth that's coming in, no matter how sudden, no matter how crazy it feels or sounds, then we get to this balance point, right? That is completely and totally the next step. What comes next? Whatever you desire. What comes next? Whatever you desire, right? So you get to choose what your motivation is. Are you going to create from deception? Or are you going to create from faith? Those are big questions, and you have 5 months to sit with them. Are you going to do things in a new way so that not just you are served, but that everyone is served and everyone has reason to celebrate? Pay attention to your messengers. Pay attention to your messengers, and know that the wheel is going to turn no matter what. And if you're paying attention to your heart, you may find a more uplifting destination on the other side, right? Reform can be terrifying, but it can also be exhilarating and uplifting and welcome. So you can look at change like a burden, or you can look at it like a gift. In retrograde season, I recommend that you look at change as an internal invitation, a gift of the universe to your subconscious, right? This is open door time. This is we're out of the Lionsgate portal. We're in tune with our spiritual selves. This is where we can drive, right? This is where we can steer our way forward with our heart, right? Instead of anything preconceived, anything deceptive. Yeah, just walk in that faith. Walk in your heart. Walk in your heart space. And pay attention. Keep your eyes open. Yeah. We will talk about the new moon coming up. It is a big one. Lots of potential. So, big blessings, and we'll talk soon.